Let us recall that this is the first event the UFC have held in the Middle East, now that they are sort of 10% owned by people within that region. This is also, I believe, the first time that the UFC are going to host an event that is entirely outdoors. I don't know how that might affect the fighters. John Madsen versus Mustafa Alter, a record of 6-5, wins and loses both by knockout, but he's on a 2-loss streak. They are to people like Crocop and Congo though. His opponent, John Madsen, isn't quite either of those two. He is a hit squad fighter, and his record is a perfect 4, and he usually wins by KO as well, so this is going to be a stand-up war. I think Mustafa will win. I'll go for KO in the second. Paul Kelly, also from England, with a record of 9-2, wins by TKO and decision, loses by everything but not decision. He's coming off a loss to Denis Siver and wins over the likes of Troy Mandalonas. He is facing hit squad fighter Matt Veach with a record of 11-1. His speciality, both wins and losses, is submission. His only loss is to Frankie Edgar, and he's defeated the likes of Matt Grice. Going on this, I'm going to take Matt Veach. I believe that Paul Kelly probably isn't much more in terms of calibre than Matt Grice. And with that sort of record, I think that Veach will be able to eventually take him down. I'll do it in the third and say that he will get some sort of bar submission in the third there. DeMarcus Johnson, he fights with Jeremy Hall. This is elite in Utah. Has a record of 10-7. Wins by TKO and submission, but he loses also by submission. His track record, bit off. Win, loss, loss, win. Loses to the likes of James Wilkes. Wins over the likes of Edgar Garcia. He is facing Brad Blackburn with a record of 15-10. He wins by TKO, loses by decision. He is coming off a loss to Amir Sadolla and also loses to the likes of Rory Markham, but his wins come over Jay Heron and Chris Wilson. He has faced better opponents. I'm going to go, I think, for Brad Blackburn here. I think I shall go for TKO in the third there. Moving on, Nick Osipczak, who is also from England, with a perfect record of 5. He is facing Rick Story. Now, Nick's 5, let's look at those. The wins are over the likes of Frank Lister and Matt Riddle. That is the most he's faced, I believe. He usually wins by submission, but Rick Story is basically a submission fighter. He's just fantastic. He's also never been finished, has Rick Story. He has lost to the likes of John Hathaway, but his wins equal Brian Foster and Jake Ellenberger. I just believe that this is going to be a ground war. I do believe this is going to be excellent, possibly match of the night. But I'm going to give that to Rick Story. I'm going to say that he gets the choke submission in the third. Paul Taylor versus John Gunderson. Taylor is also from England. 10-5 is his record. Wins by TKO and decision, loses by decision. His background is very off. No contest, win, loss, loss, win, loss, win, loss. He wins over the likes of Jess Leodon, but loses to basically names. You're talking Marcus Davis, Chris Little and John Hathaway. John Gunderson, he's got a record of 22-7. And he has 15 wins by submission. His losses are usually by decision. Now, he has lost to all the calibres that he's fought. However, those calibres are people like Wagner Fabiano and Bart Palasiewski, so they're obviously a little bit further up than Paul Taylor. I'm going to go for John Gunderson here. I'm going to go for submission in the second. I'll go for a bar submission there. Alexander Gustafsson is 9-0. He's, where are we? Wins by TKO, but his winner, the person he's beaten, highest person I can find, Jared Hammond. Phil Davis has a perfect record of 5, so both of these people have perfect records. His biggest win is Brian Stan, but it's a decision win. You know, Phil Davis usually wins by TKO, but Alexander usually wins by TKO, but Phil Davis can win by anything. Phil Davis also, although he's got the less impressive record, he has fought a lot more, a lot recently. I'm going to go out on a limb now, I'm going to say Phil Davis, but I should go for a decision victory there. Kendall Grove versus Mark Munoz, 11-6 versus 7-1. Kendall Grove usually wins by submission, loses by TKO. Mark Munoz, he usually wins by TKO. His only loss, in fact, is by TKO, and that's to Matt Hamill. I don't know who's going to win this one, to be totally honest. This is ground fighter versus stand-up. I'm going to go for Mark Munoz. I shall go for decision. Okay, Terry Eaton versus Rafael Dos Anjos. You know, Rafael 13-4. Terry Eaton is 14-2. He's another English person there. He's got 11 wins by submission, and his only losses have all come by decision, so he's never been finished. He's on a 4-fight win streak, wins over the likes of Sam Stout, loses to the likes of Gleison Tibau. Rafael, now he's on a 2-fight win streak, wins by submission and decision, loses usually by decision. He's fought lots of calibers, but he's lost to them. Tyson Griffin and Jeremy Stevens, for example. His wins come over the likes of Rob Emerson and Kyle Bradley, but those are about the highest he has on record. I'll go for Terry Eaton by bar submission in the second, I think. There. I'll start with Anderson Silva versus Damien Mayer. You know, I'm looking to see if Anderson is still going to be the reactional bore that he has turned into of late, or whether he's going to go back to being exciting. Let's face it, he can take risks because he isn't really going to be in trouble. Damien Mayer, you know, on the ground he might be a threat. The question is, can he get Silva down? The answer is probably not. And worse, we know that Damien Mayer can get knocked out relatively easy. So I'll go for Anderson Silva. I'll say that, you know, he's going to be reactional, he's going to be exciting this time. I'll go for knockout in the first. If he's going to be difficult, I'll go for knockout in the third. I don't think it's going to go all the way. I do hope it's not going to go to decision with him boring us for that long. But, you know, we don't know. The next one, BJ Penn versus Frankie Edgar. You know, Frankie Edgar has been the silent contender, I think, for quite some time. Does have a knack of beating people that nobody else can. He's one of those people who has beaten amazing names. You know, he's a name taker. And nobody can find out, nobody can understand quite why. Having said that, this is BJ Penn we're talking about. And if Frankie Edgar does beat him, it will be, you know, an unbelievable feat. I would like Frankie Edgar to win, but, you know, going to have to say I think BJ Penn, you know, maybe the third round. Let's be nice to Frankie Edgar. Let's be very nice to Frankie Edgar. Let's say that he really is the answer in terms of going to 4 rounds. We'll go for choke submission in the 4th. And Matt Hughes versus Renzo Gracie, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it will probably look a little bit like the last time Matt Hughes fought Gracie. Let's say it goes on a little bit longer. Let's go into round 3 and say that it will stop by, you know, TKO GMP stoppage in the 3rd. I think that Renzo's a little younger. Well, I think a little younger. I'm not quite sure, to be totally honest. Looks a little younger from his pictures. I think he's going to be equally as game on the ground, but, you know, I just think the sport has passed them by a little bit, to be honest. And, you know, if they have taught the world their sport, then well done. But it doesn't do them much good when other people can start using their sport better than them against them, does it? So I'm going to go for Hughes, of course, and I'll go for 3rd round TKO.